So we'll try 4. Again. Two more. Last one.
Hello and welcome to Create the Best Me, the beacon for women in midlife seeking to pivot into the most vibrant chapters of their lives. I am your host, Carmen Hecox, here to guide you through the exploration of wellness, empowerment, and the art of becoming the woman you've always aspired to be. In this episode, we're joined by the amazing Danae Robinette, a maestro of movement and meditation whose life's work dances at the intersection of yoga, breathwork, and the infinite potential of human spirit. Danae, with a BFA from Arizona State University in dance, has been a luminary in the yoga community since 1999, sharing her expertise through teaching, choreography, and leading transformative retreats around the globe. Her dedication to creating space where all are welcome and challenged has illuminated paths for many. From the studios of San Francisco State University to the global stage of the Super Bowl. Today, Danae brings her warmth, precision, and nurturing spirit to our conversation, delving into the profound benefits of breathwork for women in midlife, with a special focus on menopause. Danae will share 3 unique breathwork practices designed to center, empower, and rejuvenate. Join us as we breathe new life into the narrative of midlife, uncovering the tools and practices that invite clarity, purpose, and a renewed sense of self. Whether you're looking to deepen your wellness journey or curious about the transformative power of breathwork, this episode promises insights and inspiration to guide you toward becoming the best version of yourself. Now, let's welcome Danae. Danae Robinette, welcome to Create the Best Me. I am ecstatic to have you on the show.
I'm delighted to be with you, Carmen. Thank you so much.
Hey, before we get into the show, could you please start by telling the viewers and listeners who you are and what you do?
Yes, I am Danae. Sounds like Renee. And I am a yoga teacher of 19 years. I am a retreat leader and facilitator now for 12 years. I also lead a yoga class for credit, believe it or not, at a university in the Bay Area, San Francisco State University. That's where I'm based. And I also am a caregiver to my father, who's faced cancer 3 times now, all primary. So I'm there to support him when I can. It's my gift to give to him.
And that leads us into the reason why you are on the show. You are on the show to discuss breath work. And so my question to you, I thank God that your father is alive and he has hit his 5-year mark, cancer-free. Is that correct?
Yes, with the initial cancer, that's right. And it was a stage 4 diagnosis, so it's truly remarkable.
So tell us, how did breath work help you and maybe your father get through this tumultuous time?
That's a wonderful question, Carmen. So the breath is the gift of life, right? And we are only given so many breaths in our lifetime. And so really understanding how vital it is to breathe in a spacious and sustained way really serves myself. And yes, I have shared breath work with my dad. Sometimes he's into it and other times, he'd rather do something different. But the breath is so important to take us into the present moment. When you're in a stressful situation, maybe sitting in traffic, having a difficult conversation, more often than not, your breath is short, shallow. It's not serving you, right? But picture your favorite morning beverage, tea or coffee, and you breathe in deeply the aroma of that beverage, or a plate of food prepared by someone that loves you deeply, and you inhale the delicious aroma. that's when we're breathing deeply and completely, and it's truly serving us and supporting us. So throughout the journey of caring for him since 2017, I've had to really take a look and go, oh, am I breathing deeply and completely here? Or am I even holding my breath and not taking in full breaths? Am I feeling so stressed, worried, and concerned, which are legitimate feelings, caring for someone, but it's doing harm to me ultimately if I'm breathing in that short, shallow way. So a constant focus and awareness of bringing the breath to its fullest complete state.
Do you feel that focusing on your breath during that time helped you get calm, get relaxed, get more focused on what's important, as opposed to many of us, we stress out, especially in situations like that?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I have a morning pranayama breathwork practice that I do every morning, unless I'm a moon queen, as I call it, in my menses. And that's why I'm so excited to talk to you today, Carmen, because I know your focus is women in midlife. And so yay for those women, because they can do pranayama any day that ends in Y, right? They don't have to abstain from that pranayama practice. And so certainly, yes, to help you bring some calmness in. There are certain techniques that are designed for that. Like that is the emphasis, to just bring you into an internal, inward state. There are also breath techniques for cooling, for heating. There's such variety with breath work.
So can you introduce us to the concept of breath work and its functional principles?
Well, breath work is how we live our lives. Just like water. If we don't have water, we're going to expire. And if we're not able to breathe, we're not going to be living a full life. So breath work is vital. I often say ABB, always be breathing. And that breath work just makes it a little fancier. It's a little polished. We're already breathing right now. You and I are breathing. But could it be a little more robust? Could it be a little more steady? And that's where that foundational aspect comes into play, like really getting the understanding and the awareness of how you can expand from just a simple breath, right? And maybe even just a shorter breath, a shallower breath. How can you expand it out and make it to best serve you, right? To breathe deeply is to always serve you.
And I remember the first time I was introduced to breath work, I was a child, and it was when I was running cross country. And I remember running, and all of a sudden I'd get this side pain and it hurt so bad. And I remember my cross-country coach would say, "Are you breathing?" I'm thinking, I wouldn't be standing if I wasn't.
Yes.
But it was then that I realized that there's a technique to breathing to serve its purpose, as you said.
Yes. So this is so interesting that you reference running. So my fiance trains in mixed martial arts, and I have come to learn quite a bit about that discipline. And breath is incredibly important when they are in competition or in fight mode or even in sparring, right? For that same point that you just mentioned, so that they don't get the side stitch, so that they can keep going. That having that rhythmic breath is so, so important. Instead of quick, short breaths, they don't serve.
How does it serve as a tool for transformation, breath work, for women, especially in midlife?
Well, I am almost there, not quite. So I can imagine that as body is changing, breathwork brings you back a little bit of control, right? You can sit with a tall spine anytime, day or night. You can have eyes open or closed. It's a very simple practice that you can integrate into your daily routine to bring a little more peace, a little more stability, a little more grounding. And as body is changing, as life is changing, right? If you were raising children and now you're empty nesting, just allowing you a way to adapt to all the transitions that are going on in midlife, having a practice of breath work.
So it's a matter of, instead of going into the panic mode that, oh my goodness, this is happening, whatever the issue is or the life transition that's happening, and saying, okay, I accept that.
Acceptance. Wow, that's a huge one, right? Accepting and being with what is as it is in the moment. That's a huge lesson that we can be learning for a lifetime.
Very true.
Yes.
Many women in midlife are seeking ways to navigate transitions, whether it's professional, personal, or spiritual. How can breath work assist them in managing these changes with grace and resilience?
I think as women, we often put others above ourselves. It's a rare bird that is always putting herself first. And eventually, though we get there, I do know that many women have finally made it to that level. I'm still working on that myself. But I think since the breath is the vital life force, choosing to incorporate breath work on a daily basis will assist with that. Will assist with your ability to manage reactivity, right? And navigate the changes. When you are able to breathe in a smooth and steady way, everything slows down. Things are not as busy and chaotic or frenetic. Even if the mind has a lot of thoughts, just sitting with a tall spine and taking in full breaths in and out, sure, the thoughts may still be there, but if the concentration is on the breath, peace arrives. And that can be deeply supportive.
I know in the beginning you talked about your breathwork practice that you put into place every morning. Why is that? Can you explain why and how?
I love the ritual of it. So when I wake up, I scrape my tongue, I prepare hot water, and then I sit and I take 2 different techniques, 3 minutes each. I have had to build my stamina to maintain it with accuracy for 3 minutes. And it just feels good to have that ritual, to get up and do something like that every day that's good for me. In yoga, we might chant,
All of those sounds that are trapped in your mind.
or we might say Om. And I have known since cultivating this daily practice of breathwork how my capacity to chant, I don't sing, but I imagine it would be true if I did sing or chant the sound Om, is so long and spacious. And that's representational of my exhale. And that is definitely, it goes back to having that consistent breathwork practice that you're increasing your inhalation and your exhalation over time.
And so it's sort of like cleansing the body. First thing in the morning, you're removing all the toxins and filling it with clean air, healthy thoughts.
I like this question. So I think you're right. If we don't exhale like completely, then there's some trapped. So that's such a great point that you bring up. Some people will say, oh, it's easier for me to breathe in. Oh, it's easier for me to breathe out. But what if the invitation is always there? What if you could actually extend both in an even way? And if you find it easier to inhale or find it easier to exhale, just get a little curious about why that might be, and then see about taking a little bit more time, effort to increase your breath in and your breath out. And I think you'd be pleased with the results if you gave it a try.
And I think you said it's only like a 3-minute ritual that you do. But when you're in that practice, 3 minutes can seem like a very long time.
Yes. And 3 minutes and then a minute of like digest, so to speak, like take a pause from the first one and then another 3 minutes for the second one. And then I'm conscious throughout the day of how I'm breathing. You know, I have to remind myself again and again. I do a lot of driving being in the Bay Area that, you know, holding my breath or breathing more shallowly, not the best thing for me. So it's a constant reminding.
Breathwork is often praised for its ability to center and calm the mind. Can you share how this practice can help women find clarity and purpose during the midlife pivot?
Well, can I show a technique?
Please.
Okay. So this is with using hands. And whether you're right-handed or left-handed, we use the right hand. If you were left-handed and we were side by side, I'd happily show you with your left hand. Although I know left-handed folks are used to living in a right-handed world and they more often can just get it done, and bless them for their capacity to do so. Maybe learn something from that. But we work with the thumb and the ring finger. And it's a light press. So if you have any fun jewelry in your nose, just be mindful that it's a light press into the nostril. And the pattern is to inhale left, exhale right, inhale back up the right, and exhale left. And to do it slowly and to take your time. So I'll do 3 rounds and I'll count it out the first 2 and then be silent for the third. If you want to give it a try with me, Carmen, you're welcome. Okay, tall spine and a thumb right nostril. And then we're going to look a little fun and strange, but it's okay, folks. And then the ring finger on the left nostril. So closing off the right. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Again, inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Once more, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And you can release the hands from the face and then just breathe in and out through the nose. How's it feel?
It feels good. Yeah, I mean, it really felt good to do the exercise, but I will say, I thought, no, that's easy. No, it's not. Because when I was getting ready to exhale, my natural way of exhaling is through my mouth.
Ah, what a perfect consideration to be aware of. Yes. Yes. So lots of breath work is in and out through the nose. There is some breath work where you do exhale through the mouth. That tends to be very cooling, actually, to do so. And also some fitness regimes might cue in through the nose and out through the mouth. More in yoga, though, we would breathe in through nose, out through nose. So trying something new, it takes courage to do so.
It does. And I always thought that I breathe with my nose, inhale and exhale through my nose. But doing this exercise, I realized that, one, it was a little challenging because when you said inhale, I wanted to inhale through my mouth. When you said exhale, I wanted to exhale through my mouth. But I had to focus on the fact that my hand was at my nose. Why is it there?
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Yes. So the nose is brilliantly designed, right? With the cilia to warm and sort of filter out the debris for the air to come into body. So that's another point of reason why we would want to breathe in through the nose as often as possible. And now, of course, if you're congested, please blow your nose beforehand. It is fun to kind of get a sense of what nostril is dominant. You could take the palms to your nose and then just breathe in and then see if left or right is dominant. It usually fluctuates throughout the day, one nostril.
Yeah. Could you explain the connection between breath work and emotional wellness?
Ooh. Breath work and emotional wellness. Well, I think, again, breathing in that short, shallow way, it's probably in times of stress. It's probably in times of worry, or even if you're having a challenging conversation with someone you care about, maybe a fight or a disagreement. And all those things are normal human things, right? They do happen. But if you could just take a pause button and bring that awareness back to your breath. If you had more fuller, spacious breaths, I know from personal experience that it could shift for you and also the person you're interacting with, right? They would sense that about you. They would sense that change and be more likely to come onto that side as well. You know, if you're having that challenging conversation instead of short and shallow. So yes, the breath can link to the emotions. Good point. I love that.
I know that I suffer of chronic pain, headaches and neck pain. I've had 2 neck surgeries and lumbar pain. And I remember 20 years ago when I first came into this new life of pain, I told the doctors I didn't want to take medication because I really am scared of taking pain medication because what it does to the body and longevity. I don't want to be reliant on something. And I remember they said, okay, good point, Ms. Hecox. We'll send you to biofeedback, which is where you meet with I believe they're a psychotherapist or something, and they teach you how to control your pain with breath work. And,
Yes.
and I think you and I had discussed this before, that when I was there actively with the doctor doing the exercises, the pain would go away. But then I would step into my regular life routine, doing everything, and the pain was back. And I would ask myself, why is the pain back? And I realized the reason the pain was back was because I jumped into my old habits of the breath. The breath is shallow.
That's such a powerful reflection. And yes, the breath work can be so beneficial to helping and assisting manage pain levels. Yes. And I applaud you for your courageous step to say, no, I prefer not to take pain medicine. What else you got for me? Because there's always more than one way to do something,
Exactly.
right? Yes. And I think sometimes if you're in a yoga class, a teacher might say, breathe into this place. And so technically we cannot breathe into our right big toe, right? However, we can either place a hand at a big toe or a shoulder or where the discomfort is and really energetically, not physically, energetically, send that breath there. And there's some power in that. And there's some relief in that. So I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Since we're on the topic, what about, you'll learn about this when you're old enough, but you're not there yet. When you're going through menopause, this is at least something that I noticed, or I'm past menopause, but I noticed that sometimes I react differently to situations. Maybe something that would have just kind of stressed me out at this level. I find that sometimes it stresses me out at this level. And something I always tell myself in that situation is, well, if you sit there and stress out at this level, you'll accomplish nothing. But if you stress out at this level, then you can just chip away and get things done. But I think that maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm doing this, maybe I'm shifting my breath at that moment to deal with the thing that stressed me out. Can you talk about how women can practice breath work during that period to help them stress at this level? Because stress is going to come at us no matter what.
Yes. That's so true. And to some level, stress helps. It's a motivator and inspirer, kind of get the stuff done, right? But too much stress has too many troubles to the body and the mind. So I think what I hear you say, maybe in all that with the stress, and you're right, it is a coming attraction for me, not yet, but I have had many women in class who I have lovingly called hot flash arenas. When those changes have occurred, and that's caused tremendous stress, whether just for themselves or if they've been with a partner who doesn't understand because they're not experiencing those discomforts. There are two more techniques that I'm so happy to share. Now, they do look a little bit strange, full stop, but they are cooling in nature and they have provided relief. So if you're open to giving it a try, I'd love to share it.
They're not just hot flashes, where you're hot. You start sweating like you just finished running a marathon.
Well, you'll have to report back about the sweating. I know it can help with the heat in the body. These techniques are indicated for when, even if you're having on a hot day, summer day, you're having any of those fiery conditions, acid reflux, indigestion, as well as a hot flash. So I'm going to get a little bit closer to the camera because it focuses on the mouth. And there are two, shitali, shitkari. I'll do shitkari first. And basically you make a smile and you place your tongue at the back of the front of the teeth. And so you inhale through the mouth. You make a fun sound and then you exhale through the nose. So we'll try 4. Again. Two more. Last one. And so what I like to ask students is, what do they notice by doing that, right? Do they notice a pooling of maybe some water in the mouth? Do they notice a coolness across the interior of the mouth, the tongue? Now, sometimes students will say, oh, I don't feel that water. I feel more dry. And then I say, with sweetness and kindness, how many glasses of water have you had today? Because it can also be an indicator of you need to be a little more diligent with your hydration. How did it feel for you, Carmen?
I did feel cooler. But on the last breath, I am going to say, it must be my dang brain that did this. I found myself inhaling through my nose, even though I was watching you, even though I was smiling and had my tongue up high or behind my teeth.
Yes.
I'm like, I did it wrong. And I could tell because the coolness went away. And that's how I knew that I did it wrong. That was the first indication to me that I did it incorrectly, was that how come it didn't feel cool?
Well, hey, give yourself credit. You just tried something new for the first time. If you got 3 out of the 4, that's pretty outstanding, I'd say, for the first effort. But it is like that simple point of total awareness on what we're doing, right? And really being so laser focused, to bring the clarity to your mind, to bring the clarity to everything around you. Just only the breath, focus on one thing at a time. The second one involves 2 ways. Right? It's either people can curl their tongue or they can't, or they choose not to, right? When I teach this at the university class, I always give the opt out. Even if you can curl your tongue, perhaps in a class of 25 people, you don't want to do it. No problem. You can purse your lips. So it can either look like this or like this. And some people cannot curl their tongue, just like some people have the ability to know when you've had asparagus kind of thing. Isn't science great? So as a gift, I've always said more than one way to do something. You can simply purse the lips and as if you are taking in a sweet elixir. So same thing, through the mouth and exhaling through the nose. Here we go. Three more. Last one. How's that for you?
I was able to stay focused.
Excellent. Yay. It is a practice. It is definitely a practice.
It is. And so you call these hot flash arenas, is that right?
Yes, my sweet nickname for women of that age that have come to my classes. Yes.
You've showed them this practice of breath work. What is your recommendation? When should they do this and how frequently should they do this?
Sure. So once they get the pattern, I would say less is more, right? You don't need to do 100. And also you want to do them with precision. So I'd start with 3, maybe as you're feeling those symptoms arise in the body, or if you just want to start building it into the routine, you could do it as you wake up. Sitting up in bed even, you don't have to get onto a yoga mat or anything. You can just sit up tall in your bed or sit up tall in a chair and try 3. And then I have built up to 7. I think 7's a good number. And if you're wondering how to keep count, you can bring your hands together and you can just take a pinky, another finger, another finger, another finger, and that's 5. And you could be done with 5 even. You can keep it real simple. Or 1, 2, and then that's 7. And sometimes people say, oh, it's so hard to keep track of the count. No problem. You can even have that hand on your thigh and count some, first finger, and so on and so forth to keep track.
And so this practice sort of helps you when you're going through that hot flash. Either does it help you pass it quicker or does it help you cool down?
Well, I think it helps them cool down. I don't know about the time frame. That's a great question. I wish there'd be some research on that. Calling all medical professionals. Let's have a clinical study about that for real. There are some things in women's healthcare that are not fully understood and appreciated, because we have always tested men, and this particular health concern, menopause, we need to know more about it, how to better serve women as they go through this change of life.
I'm curious about the physical benefits of breath work. How does the practice impact the body, particularly for women who are experiencing the physical changes that come with midlife?
Well, I think when you breathe, we often don't realize it's 3D, right? It's front body, side body, back body, right? And especially back to that short, shallow breath, it might be only in the chest. So as body is changing, perhaps breathwork could be an opportunity to be more loving and kind to your body. It's okay if it's changing. That's the way life works, right? And so even placing hands on the chest and the ribs, or 2 hands on the chest, 2 hands on the ribs, or a hand on chest and belly, and really feeling the breath rise through all 3 places and then exhale through all 3 places. So you're expanding and you're softening, and having that tactile aid gets a little more, oh, yes, this body is beautiful, and it's carried me through this far, and it will continue to do so.
In your retreats, you facilitate a journey towards wellness and self-discovery. Can you share a transformative experience or story from a participant that illustrated the power of breathwork?
Well, this is a great question as well, Carmen. So I think oftentimes the breath work is not taught in a traditional yoga class that you might get at a studio. Definitely, please learn it from a teacher. Don't try and learn it from a YouTube video. And so when students come on retreat, I have an optional meditation and pranayama first thing, and then we would have morning practice much later on in the morning. And so that's their opportunity finally to dive into it and to realize, oh, wow, it's kind of like, as you mentioned, it's got some effort involved. Oh, I really have to concentrate on this. Wow, I didn't realize there's so much detail and precision to breath work. And I had no idea it was like this. I thought it was just a breath in and breath out. So it's just an eyes opening, basically. So that, I think, is the transformational piece, that there's so much more to breathing. They finally discover that. And then by doing it on retreat with repetition, 4 days, or sometimes we're on retreat for over a week, it depends on the location, they get a chance to really build it into the routine and then decide, is that something they want to take with them when they go back home? And sometimes it does take shape for them. And sometimes they just know that it's a tool they can turn to as needed. Sometimes that's the beauty of breathwork too. You can tap into it as needed. It doesn't need to be a regular practice necessarily.
For those new to breathwork, it seems a bit intimidating. What are some simple techniques or starting points you recommend for beginners, especially those of midlife, looking to incorporate this practice into their daily routine?
Sure. So I think the best way would be to do it laying down, because then gravity is on your side. You don't have to worry about sitting up super tall, and maybe legs don't want to fold into a, closed in shape. Although I always say, I don't care how your legs are arranged. They could be stretched out long in front of you. You could sit in all sorts of ways with legs. It's the upper body that's most important, the crown to rise, the tailbone to root. But the beauty of being on your back, so you could lay down legs long and wide. You could lay down with feet on the ground a little bit wider than hips and the knees joined together. That can be soothing for people with any low back discomfort, is that you're able to feel that 3D feel, right? You're going to inhale deeply. You're going to feel the chest and the ribs and the belly expand, but you're also going to feel it through the side and also the back. The floor will give you that feedback. Are you breathing robustly and deeply where you can feel the floor, or are you sort of holding back? So I would suggest using the hands, because that tactile aid is so informative, and then taking several breaths that way and give it a go. See how it feels, right? If it's helpful, which I'm almost positive it will be helpful. If it's helpful, then keep going, and sometimes people say, well, how long do I have to do yoga? Even 1 minute counts, right? So set a timer. We all have timers on our phones. Set a timer and do it simply for a minute, and mark it on your calendar. You can say breath work or me time or some sort of symbol that's important to you, and then look back at your calendar and you can see, oh, wow, I've done this for X number of days, and wow, I really see value in it. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep giving this a chance to be a part of my everyday routine.
When you talked about practicing that laying down, the first thing I thought is Shavasana.
Absolutely. Yes. Shavasana. Yes. That is the final posture in yoga where we come to rest. It's considered like the death of the practice. So releasing any attachments to whatever happened previously and just letting the body truly settle and be received by the floor. It is often considered a challenging pose because we want to have mind quiet, breath deep, and just let the body really sink back into the floor. Yes.
What is one takeaway from today's conversation or advice that you'd like to share with the viewers and listeners?
ABB, always be breathing. And simply notice when the breath is short, that you have an opportunity to pivot and change, that you can change it in an instant. The moment you notice the breath is short, or even I've noticed this is a phenomenon when we're on our screens and we're checking out Instagram, where we might even hold the breath. I'm hard pressed to think of the name, but they've named it as a phenomenon where breath is held because you're just in rapture scrolling with, abandon that, oh, I want to do something different. I'm going to take a deep breath here. And I'm going to let it out slowly. And then even there's like a lightness in the shoulders. There's just a little sweet moment of peace. Decide that for yourself, that every moment you can breathe better. It's a decision.
Yeah. Finally, looking at a broader picture of wellness, how does breath work integrate with other practices like yoga, meditation to support a holistic approach to midlife transformation?
Meditation is so powerful and important. There's tremendous amounts of research on meditation. And I think now we typically don't lay down in meditation. We stay seated, but you could sit in a chair, right? More to the edge of a seat of a chair with feet evenly on the ground. And you can rest the hands on top of the thighs to help you feel more steady. But with meditation, there's so many techniques and prompts, but simplicity is key. And so it can be just awareness on your breath. Watch the inhale, the exhale. You could even designate a color for your inhalation, your exhalation, so that you can begin to visualize the breath in, moving through body, and then out, exhaling, so that even when the thoughts are popping in the mind, back to breath. It's a constant being aware. It's a practice. It takes effort, but it's worth it. I think all the benefits are so tremendous, and it's worth it to give it a try at least.
And I need to ask this because I ask all my guests this question. What future projects are you currently working on, and when can we expect to see them?
Ooh, I like this question. Retreats, Carmen. It's simply one of the things I'm working on. And Galapagos, which is part of Ecuador in South America, is going to be coming in October of 2025. So I'm very, very excited about that. There might be a more local retreat on the horizon in between now and then. So stay tuned.
And how can people be the first to know when those are available?
Yes, I have a retreat wait list. So you can simply get yourself on that list and I'll notify you when the details go live. I'm hoping within the next month. So we're recording in February. I'm hoping within the next month that I'll have all the details about Galapagos so people can decide for themselves if that's an investment they want to make. It's considered, a bucket list trip to go to the Galapagos.
And where can people learn more about you and your retreats?
Certainly. So on the web, my website, www.DanaeRobinett, my full name.com. And I, of course, welcome anyone to connect with me over Instagram, send me a DM or give me a follow at my full name, Danae Robinette as well. I love to make reels and I sometimes think they're hilarious and I like to make people laugh. So definitely check out the reels if you're up for a good laugh.
Great. Danette, thank you so much for coming on. I will include all of your information in my show notes so that people will not miss any opportunity for a laugh and some exceptional wellness advice and possibly join you in the Galapagos.
Oh, a true delight and pleasure to be with you, Carmen. Thank you for this opportunity to share more about breathwork.
As we close today's enlightening conversation on the transformative power of breathwork with Danae Robinette, we've not only discovered invaluable practices for enhancing our well-being in midlife, but also shared a special technique for cooling down during hot flashes. Danae's wisdom and guidance have opened doors to new possibilities for personal growth and self-care. For those intrigued by the prospects of deepening this journey and being the first to know about Danae's next yoga retreat, make sure to join her mailing list. All the details, alongside additional resources and practices shared today, are waiting for you at createthebestme.com/EP066. This is your gateway to further exploration and connection. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to stay updated on the latest episodes and exclusive content. Your journey to creating the best version of yourself is ongoing, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Be sure to come back next week as we will dive into building and maintaining strong friendships in midlife. It's an episode packed with insights and strategies designed to enrich your personal and professional relationships, fostering understandings and connections in this vibrant phase of life. Until then, keep dreaming big. Take care of yourself, and remember, you are beautiful, strong, and capable of creating the best version of yourself. Thank you for watching. Catch you next week. Bye for now.